What if tomorrow you woke up and just like that, you had the body you've always dreamed of? Your health was on point, energy levels were high, and your confidence, through the roof. Completely Possible Fitness wants you to know that it's possible to change your life and make your dreams come true. We specialize in weight loss, muscle building, functional training, group exercise, and nutritional advice. Don't let another day go by not having exactly what you want. Contact Copo Fit and let us help transform your life. Copo Fit is on all social media, or you can email us at copofit@gmail.com. That's COPOFIT@gmail.com. Do you love drama as much as I do? Plot shifts and heart-pounding turns will keep you enthralled in the new book, Soiled Sheets by Phoenix Ash. Dana and Marshall are drawn to each other, but their flame has a tendency to burn and splinter all that once mattered, quite possibly even each other. Will they make it through the debris or become part of the ruins? Find out when you purchase your copy of Soiled Sheets by Phoenix Ash, now available via Amazon Books and all Kindle devices, and it's free with Kindle Unlimited.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at?
Well, actually, I live in Delaware now, so does that make me a Delawarean?
Sing it, girl.
You know, Beyonce is my friend in my head. Jay my people sometimes, too.
Yeah. I mean, like, be true, man.
You know, when I was a kid, I had an imaginary enemy. Like, does that make me crazy?
Life as P, presented by Say What Radio.
This is Life is P, and I'm your host, Phoenix Ash. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you giving me your time. If this is the first time you've joined me, thank you for giving me a shot. I appreciate whoever referred you or however you found us. Thank you. I say us because I'm part of the Say What Radio Network, and we all appreciate you. We appreciate every listener across the board. If you're a repeat listener, thank you so much. Hey, child. Anywho, I wanted to talk about things that are tripping over my words today. I want to talk about things that are out of context. And there's so many things that we take out of context, but I was having a conversation with this wonderful coworker of mine. I'm on a contract job, and she's much younger than me. So, you know, we're talking about everything from A to Z, sharing things that I've learned over the years, and her giving me anecdotes about her experiences, and just having wonderful conversation. And we had a situation where someone was assigning something that they wanted new, fresh, wonderful ideas. And we were talking about our process, but also the vibe across the team in terms of how the new, fresh ideas were being received, how, you know, we started to share things and people were fighting over, you know, concrete details. And the task that we were given, at least in my eyes, was more so theoretical. It was the first step to something that would take many steps to execute. And I'm always very leery about sharing something at the first step, particularly when someone else is giving you a task, giving you a project. And I'm very leery about sharing things too close to the beginning. I would rather do whatever was asked of me and then go back to the person who asked and sort of get some alignment to say, hey, was this what you were looking for? Let's talk about what you're looking for in terms of any tweaks, or how do we shape this? What context is this going to be applied? Is this going to be applied? Are you just looking for brainstorming? Are you looking for something that we're going to implement? What is it going to impact? What time frame are we looking at? Are we looking at something that is immediate, something that is going to happen over the course of this year? Is it something that you're looking for in the future? So I have all these questions to and some people ask these questions up front, but a lot of times if it's a creative project, I'm like, let's get the juices flowing. Let's get the ideas down. They're just looking for ideas right now. And then let's shape it out. So when you share things like that too early on with people who were not involved in the conversation, not involved in the ask, and they start wanting to know what you're working on, can you share the project and whatever, then they start giving feedback and you're like, okay, all right. Number one, it wasn't asked for. And not that you can't use it. You can definitely use it. However, they're looking for you to use it concretely. Like, this is what I say you're missing, and this is what I expect you to put in. And, oh, I'll be happy to look at it again. No, I'm not asking for your consistent review. You're not my editor on this project. That we're not collaborating. This is a separate ask, and you're being shared this information out of courtesy because you asked. But, it starts to get messy because, and people have to learn, even if you share the details with someone like that, I'm also pretty leery about sharing anything that's concrete. So if I have a PowerPoint that's supposed to go back to my boss, I don't really want to share with all these other people who want to know what I'm working on. Because once you have it in your possession, I can't control who you forward it to. I can't control who you share it with. And so now it's in the third person's hand who has some feedback from long, far away in left field. And you're like, who are you? And why are you have something like you don't know? You're even more removed from the context. So like, chill out. Chill out. Let me get, and sometimes it seems like the people who are working on the project, like, oh, you don't want anyone's opinion. How can you grow? And it's not that, but you have to let people flesh things out in the way that they're going to flesh them out before you start jumping in with all your opinions and how to shape things. Like, give them a second. Let them think through. Ask them what process they're in. Ask them what part of the process they're at before you start putting all your ideas into their ideas. You want to throw out ideas that's great. Create your own project. Create your own. So anyway, when I say out of context, is because you get all these people filling in and then you get someone else from like super left field, like they on a totally different playing field, and they come in and they're like, well, this is that. And they shut you down. And they make you feel as though what you've been working on is a waste of time. And they sort of kind of hint that. There's like that beeline in their tone that's like, I don't even know why you're doing this. And so for a lot of people, that shuts everything down. It stops it, doesn't go any further. And so this, and I'm not even going to call her a coworker. I'm going to say friend because I do talk to her outside of work. But this friend of mine was like, so I don't understand how things are supposed to change. And that's a statement, not necessarily that she made after we experienced the whole debacle, but it was quite a bit before that. And so I was like, unfortunately, this is a very horrific example of why things don't change. I'm sorry you had to experience this, but it's great you experienced it now and you can learn from it now and know what to implement going forward. Learning it early in your career can allow you to manipulate situations so that you can avoid, it's hard to avoid these pit stops altogether, particularly when people who don't change are in places of power. People who refuse to change, who want to do everything the way that they've always done them, stick to this baseline. Those people, when they are in positions of power, it is very difficult to change. It's very difficult to embrace new ideas, new concepts. And this is a message out to leaders as well, because sometimes the people that you are asking to contribute creative ideas are, 2 to 3 reportees under you. So they're not necessarily your direct reports, but they report to your direct reports. And if your direct reports are managers who are not flexible and who do not embrace change and creativity and new ideas, those people underneath them will not submit their stuff to you regularly. And you're there as a leader, like, no, I'm asking for this. I want this. But you have your reports that are sabotaging all these things that you want, all these things that you see. They're sabotaging it. It's stopping it. So what I told this young woman was, that is the typical thing. And I would advise you to be atypical. I would advise you to go back to the person who gave us the ask and as planned, let's go back and get the context, give her the new information that we received, tell her the situation we're facing, how many hands ended up in a cookie jar, and see what she says, and get a clear understanding of if this is a waste of time, or maybe people are not aligned. People don't know what her plan is. Maybe she doesn't know what their plans are. Like, let's not feed into the confusion. Let's go back to point A and let's get some clarity, and let's feed in all the new information that we have. Now, I'm telling her this because she's young and she's, looking to grow her career. And so this is really her corporate career. And if you give up now, it's going to be very difficult to navigate through corporate America going forward. It's going, because stuff like this happens repetitively. So you want to work through this. Me, my age, because I have something else that I care about, I'm strictly here on a contract trying to get some bills paid. I have another passion. I'm a writer. I'm a host. I'm a speaker. This is just an extra check for me. This is a side hustle for me. So I don't have the energy to reshape everything, to have these talks, to get everyone aligned, to talk to this person, talk to that person, listen to this person, fight me on some basic issue that has nothing to do with them. I don't have the energy for that. So you get someone like me who's like, all right, you know what? If, you, like, I cut you off like it's on punishment. I'm like, you don't deserve any more of my energy. I'm not going to beg you for a seat at the table. I'm not going to, but I do recognize that everybody's trajectory is not the same. And what I have going on in my background is not necessarily what she has going on in hers. My goals are not her goals. My aspirations are not her aspirations. And my career progression is not the same as hers. I'm in a very different place in my career. I'm not at an entry level place in my career. I'm not trying to figure those things out. I do appreciate that she appreciates my wisdom and my experience, and that she comes to me to talk these things out. But I also appreciate that she's bold enough to say where she disagrees, and sometimes she disagrees and she's right for her, not necessarily right for my experience or what I'm seeing, but right for her. And then sometimes I just let it play out. Like, this is a situation where from the beginning I was like, let's not share this information, or let's find creative ways to answer people's questions without necessarily sharing them all that we've done. And she was caught off guard when her boss was asking her what she was working on. And as an immediate reply, she gave all the details. And that's when it just started to snowball into something else. And I'm overhearing her give all the details. And I'm like, oh my God. And it's not even like you're trying to hide something from someone. It's just not ready. It's not ready. And when you share something half-baked or the first draft of something, or the first go-round of something, or sometimes even the second draft, when you share those things and you know for sure, like, I'm still getting this together. I still need to go back and verify that what I've done matches the ask. That's very elementary in the project planning process. If you still are at the point where you're verifying that what work was done matches the ask, that's early on. It's early on. So I'm like, it's not ready to be shared. I'm not even sure if I answered the ask. So I'm not, and you weren't part of the conversation. You're not really clear on what the ask is. I mean, you're helpful in terms of telling me what current state is. This is what current state is. This is what I know of to be the plan over the next couple months. And telling me, hey, I feel like the best advice you could give me is, hey, can you go back to your person and ask them how it fits in our current state and how it fits in the plan over the next couple months, because you seem to be a little disaligned with what we've got going on. So I'm just curious. That's the best thing you can tell me before you start tweaking details of something, knowing that it doesn't really match what you have going on right now. It's like, well, you're tweaking the details for what? You have no idea what the plan is. You don't have a plan. I don't have a plan because I'm still verifying stuff. Like, it's too much discussion too early on. And you have all these hands in the cookie jar and it's just a freaking mess. Everything is just in pieces. So the best I can do, or the best advice I could give, was, listen, in order to start to clean this up, you sort of have to go back. It's like it really feels very elementary because it's sort of a different spin on the he say, she say, or a different spin on telephone. Like, you share it with one person, they think, they perceive it one way, or they imagine it to be something else, and they share it with someone else, and it goes further and further and further away from what it actually is. So the best way I can say clean this up is to go back to the person giving the ask. Share the information, share the current status, share what you've learned, and ask the question of context. How does this fit? What am I truly doing? When I'm pitching out ideas and brainstorming, am I thinking of something theoretical? Are these ideas that you want to have sort of like in your back pocket in case whatever's going on right now, whatever the plan is, doesn't work? And you want to have like a backup plan so that you're not scratching your head in a couple of months with nothing on the table? If you're enjoying the podcast and want more, please pick up my book, Musings While Binging, now available on Amazon Books. It's wonderful. It's funny. I ponder certain questions like, who controls the auto flush in the bathroom? Or why is it that I'm attracted to all the super crazy people on TV? I don't know. But if you want to laugh or chuckle, something, extend your time with me, please pick it up. Again, it's called Musings While Binging, and it's available on Amazon Books. Do you want to change? Do you know what's happening right now and you decide, you think that that's not going to work, and so you want to change it ahead of time? And then 2, who else are you communicating with? Because you have these other managers who are in between, who are like, no, this is current state, this is da-da-da, and it's becoming messy. And so what happens is, on the other side, you have me and this young woman working on this project, and now like our names are being talked about, which I don't care, but for her, and it sounds like, we're working on something sort of rogue and with no clear direction. And, I don't know how that affects the respect they have for the head of the department who actually issued the ask. So, hard lesson to learn. But when I say things are out of context, I mean, that's just very one lengthy way of everyone taking everything out of context. However, one of the worries was that, listen, is this truly a waste of time? Because when you interact with the person who wants to just basically shut it down, you're like, well, this has been the experience over the past year or past 2 years, however long these people have been there, to say, ideas fall on deaf ears. They don't go anywhere. We stick to the basics. We, do the same thing all the time. And so I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about past leaders, the person who asked for fresh experience, fresh eyes, fresh ideas, hasn't been in the role very long. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, is your fear out of context? And when I say fear out of context, I mean, were you giving your ideas in the past? Were you throwing out those fresh ideas and wonderful, let's blow the spot up and let's do this different, let's shake it up? Were you throwing that out to someone who never asked for it? So you have a leader who's not interested in your ideas, but you keep throwing them out. They're hitting a wall and they're falling down because, they've closed themselves off. And now you have a leader who's asking for fresh ideas, and you fear giving them your ideas because you think nothing's going to happen. That's out of context. It's a different situation. You were giving that. It's sort of like a relationship. When you are messing with someone who says, I don't want a girlfriend or I don't want a boyfriend, and despite how much they're acting as though you're in a relationship, when you find out they're sleeping with someone else or having the same exact relationship with 5 other people, or they're in a marriage, or they have a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and your heart is broken, crushed. I thought we were, I was being monogamous. I was this, I was that, and your heart is just broken. And then you have some time, and then you have a new relationship. And this new situation, this person wants to love you, wants to have a close relationship, wants to do all the things that you want. And I don't want to default to marriage and kids because that's not what everybody wants. But they want to do what you want, and they want to love you in the way you need to be loved, and they're trying to. But out of fear, you're closing yourself off, and you're like, I don't want to talk about this, or I don't want to say that I feel that, or I don't want to go here, or whatever, because of what happened to me in the past. It's out of context. That person has a different set of wants, different set of needs, and has expressed them, where you were giving your heart and your soul to someone who clearly said, I don't want to be committed. Regardless of what it was that they were doing, and regardless of how you felt while they were doing it, clearly stated, I do not want to be committed. It's out of context. So now the person who says, yes, I want to commit to you. Yes, I want to be with you long term. You won't give them that because of fear of another context. So I feel like we replicate that in work situations where you have someone who never invited your ideas, but you gave them up anyway. And then you were pissed that they didn't do anything with them. And so now you're bitter, and now you don't want to give your ideas to the person who's actually seeking them. To me, I'm like, that's out of context. It really is. Now, the stuff that pisses me off are the groups that actually ask for your ideas, and once you give them, they sweep them under the guise of this was a group effort, never give anyone credit, and move on as the leader of the group as though this is something they pioneered. Now, that's a different story. That pisses me all the way off. I hate when I see people do that because it's so soul crushing, and it's selfish, and it's short term, because if that is your reputation, you won't last long, or you won't get very far very quickly. You will think you are, but your fall will be extremely hard and extremely painful, which I've also seen, and I've seen it very recently. I've seen someone fall from the top, and it's a hard bump, and everybody along the way down wants to get their punches and kicks in. It's nasty. It's nasty, but it's the world you built. So anyhow, so what I'm basically trying to say is taking things out of context will trip you up. It will trip you up, and you have to understand the context. And like I said, when you start sharing things, or when you start giving your opinions and putting your fingers in stuff, when you don't know the shape of it, when you don't know the context, or when someone else needs to explain an extra part, you need extra pieces before you can make a full decision. You start making these permanent decisions, or having emotional feelings, or inviting other people to the table before you can get past those preliminary steps. Everything's going to be taken out of context, and it will trip everyone up. Everybody's going to be, once this starts to get cleaned up, there's going to be so many people tripping over their feet because, I thought, yeah, right. Pause for a second. That's always the thing. But I thought, yes, because we weren't there yet. Relax, chill out before you start jumping in to give your opinion and start shaping other people's stuff and start, feeling like, this is your opportunity to give your ideas. Just wait a second. Understand the context. Was it your ideas that were being asked? Okay, that's number one. Is it your opinion and your feedback that's being sought? That's the first thing. Is it? Because then you're going to be bitter about that when they don't take it. And, I'm not going to tell anybody anything and going forward. So when people ask your opinion, y'all don't do anything with it anyway. What? I didn't ask you before. So why did you expect me to take it when I didn't ask you before? I'm asking you now, and now you don't want to provide any value. It's out of context, stupid, and petty. It is. And it's just immature. And it means that you don't even totally, and it's not immature because it's childlike. It's immature in terms of your mind hasn't evolved to be able to recognize situations when it makes sense to get involved, when your opinions are being sought rather than when you're trying to force them through someone's door. It's just different. It's different. So make sure when you are reviewing situations, whether it be in your private business, your relationship, work life, office life, whatever your work life looks like, if you work in a restaurant, if you work in corporate America, you're in a cube, if you're out in the field, ask yourself what the context is. Before you have some great emotional reaction, before you have this feedback, or before receiving this information gets you feeling quote unquote concerned. What's the context? And where is this at? Am I receiving information at a very preliminary period where, it's early on and it hasn't even gone forward? It's really right before the project. I'm not even sure what the project is. Or like, before you get concerned and commit so much energy to something that does not require it, figure out what the context is so that you don't trip yourself up. Because later down the line, you're going to wonder why you gave so much energy or why it concerned you so much when it's not even anything that you thought it was going to be. What's the context? Deal with the context. Stop, doing every situation based upon one situation that you've had years ago. Evaluate the situation for what it is. Now, if it all looks and smells like everything years ago, everything is, in line. Hey, this person is asking for ideas and they've asked me before. I've given before. We've had great ideas. We've come to an agreement and then they've stolen the idea, or then they haven't used it and then we never circled back, or they acted like I didn't give any, or they gave credit to someone else. And when things like that repeat themselves, yes, absolutely. You have every right to quiet or, share your idea with someone else or go somewhere else. I would think that in this day and age with so many options open to us, that if that is your repetitive situation at work, that you would seek employment somewhere else, because you don't have to settle for that. There are too many books written to teach leaders how to be better leaders. Too many people seeking information. And these are best-selling books. They're not just books that are just written just for the sake of. People are actually reading them in hopes of becoming a better leader, becoming a better manager. So there are too many people seeking that type of information for you to settle for the manager that refuses to change. Too much opportunity to work for people who are in line with your beliefs and your moral ground and your wonderful work and your creativity and your brilliance, for you to settle for not being recognized, not being valued, and treated as though you're bottom of the barrel regardless of how much work you put in. It's too many other opportunities out there for you to settle for that. So let that not be your excuse as to why you're not having optimal performance. It's too many opportunities to not settle for that. And my thing is, you need a why. And I've talked about this before. If you're going to stick in that situation like that, my hope is because you got something else going on. Maybe you're in school and you're staying in a situation until you graduate because you need stability, or you need the check, or you know that you're about to change industries and this is just to hold you over until you complete whatever certification you need before you move on. As long as you got a why, hey, it's on you. But if this is your career and you've got people in middle management who refuse to change, who are undercutting people who are above them, who are asking for your sheer brilliance, you don't settle for that. You either make the connection directly to their manager or the person who's making the ask and you build a relationship that way, or you seek employment somewhere else. Because like I said, there are too many opportunities where people are looking to be better managers and to get involved and to get the best work out of their employees for you to settle for being undervalued. Too many. Believe me, I know sometimes when you're in a situation and when you have a middle manager that sucks, sometimes they can convince you that you will not be valued anywhere else, or that you won't make the money that you make anywhere else. Don't let them convince you of that lie. Companies compete with each other. They compete. And one of the places they compete is salary. So you're going to find something in the same family at a different company that does the same thing. Don't believe their lies. But also don't take things out of context. Understand the situation you're in. Evaluate the conversation that you're having for what it is. Ask yourself the questions. What context is this? Before you get tripped up. We've all had situations where, we misheard someone and we didn't think about all the other details around what we heard, and we moved forward and then come to find out that it's not what we heard. And then when we think back and we think of all the details surrounding it, we're like, you know what I heard probably doesn't even really make sense based upon all these other details. I should have verified that information. I should have asked some questions. I should have continued the conversation until I was certain, until I was clear. Make sure you have the right context. And again, it's out of context if you've been throwing your ideas at someone who has not invited them, and then you shut yourself off to someone who is seeking your brilliance. your feelings are out of context. Your fear is out of context. It's a different situation. It's different. And I don't want you to stop yourself from shining. I don't want you to dull your light, to minimize your star because of some idiot who didn't value you. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Anyway, that is my point for today. I hope you get it. I hope you implement it in your life. I hope it makes some change for you. I hope it helps you deal with other people. Sometimes when we listen to what the feedback someone else has given us, we understand that they don't have the right context. So even if you're asking yourself what the context is, sometimes that makes you realize that the person speaking to you doesn't have the right context. And so you can get some clarity there and offer them some clarity. They, in the long run, should be thankful for it. That, you want to get everyone aligned and everyone clear about what direction you're going in. I appreciate you spending all this time with me. Thank you for listening to me rant about context, but I feel like it's very important, particularly when we are entrepreneurs, when we're passion chasers, when we're trying to be our best selves. It's important that we understand the context that we're working in and how we can manipulate that to be our best selves and to show our best work. If you want to pick up any of my books, they're available on Amazon as well as Kindle. Soiled Sheets and In Her Makeup. Thank you guys so much for reading. If you haven't picked them up, they're both available on Amazon and Kindle. Long Neck Bottles is available on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible and iTunes. Yes. Go get that. If you're doing the free trial or the trial for Audible, I think they're still running the promotion where your first 2 books that you download are free. Make Long Neck Bottles one of them. I would so appreciate that. Musings While Binging is also available on Amazon. It's a quick, funny read. I love all the feedback that I've been getting. People are telling me what their favorite page is, what their favorite quote is. I might post some of those. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. If you ever want to get at me, you can reach me on Twitter as well as Instagram at PWrites, and that's PWRITES. Please reach out to me. Talk to me. Tell me what's on your mind. Debate me. You don't agree with me? Debate me. I'm cool. Maybe you will enlighten me. Maybe you will teach me something that I can then share with everyone else. Until next time when we can exchange our power. Peace.